Hello. Welcome to the Tea Party Hardy channel. Well, that didn't take long, did it? Look at that. If you were wondering how long it was going to take till the Dems started going after each other, well, about 20 minutes after the impeachment, it's what it looks like. Dems caved on witnesses in the Trump impeachment trial, drawing condemnation from the left and the right. For totally different reasons, as you might imagine. Let's see. Democrat impeachment managers on Saturday drew harsh criticism from both the left and the right for their stark reversal. Boy, ain't that the truth, on whether to call witnesses in the Senate trial of former President Donald J. Trump. Trump was found not guilty, again, of inciting insurrection in a 57-43 vote on Saturday. Yeah, somebody's going to have a little talk with those 7 Republicans. The 43 Democrats, somebody needs to talk with them too. It's like, guys, you're supposed to vote on the truth, not what just to be all tribal. Yeah, oh well. Critics said Democrats caved for having a press release from Representative Jamie Herrera Butler, Republican of Washington, read into the record, initially asking to depose her, a move that could have potentially elongated the impeachment trial by weeks or up to months. Butler threw a wrench into the impeachment proceedings after a Friday night arraignment in which she said, it's unbelievable what she said. You can see why they dropped it. In which she said Trump seemingly sided with the rioters at the Capitol Hill on January 6th during a conversation with Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican of California. Well, let's take a look at what she said and see if it really is siding with them. When McCarthy finally reached the president on January 6th and asked him to publicly and forcefully call off the riot, the president initially repeated the falsehood, was it falsehood? That it was Antifa that had breached the Capitol. McCarthy refuted that and told the president that these were Trump supporters, she said. That's when, according to McCarthy, the president said, well, Kevin, I guess these people are more upset about the election than you are. How is that equal siding? That's just a strict observational reality. And again, you can kind of see why the Dems dropped their case, because, really, if that's the best you got, yay. Bueller added, to the patriots who were standing next to former president as these conversations were happening, or even to the former vice president, if you have something to add here, now would be the time. The move to call Butler followed suggestions from multiple Senate Democrats that it might be wise to call witnesses. Yeah, well, everybody was saying you're supposed to do that in the House when you actually do the investigation and everything. There was no investigation. They just wanted to show clips from the news. How'd that work out for them? So Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, the guy that did the whole thing about the yearbooks and that whole beer thingy-mabobby with Kavanaugh? Yeah, that Whitehouse. Senator Ed Markey of Democrat of Massachusetts. They're all just throwing fit going, why did you do this? Well, so you got the righties and the lefties complaining, but I want to show you this one quote because it's actually kind of insightful and it's from the left, so bravo to that person. Here's what this guy said. Even if you're convinced no testimony will change the minds of 40 Republicans, and I think that's a fair assumption, leaving witnesses on the table is an incredible mistake. Huffington Post reporter Matt Fuller said, after impeachment managers presented a fantastic case, the decision to fold is what will be remembered. Addie Ellie, that wasn't the quote I wanted, it's the next one. Addie Ellie, mistal of the Nation, very far left-wing magazine. Everybody who thinks no witnesses would have changed Republican minds needs to explain to me why impeachment, which was never going to change Republicans' minds, was worth it in the first place. The people who think impeachment was not worth it are at least intellectually consistent. Yeah, I like that quote. So, yeah, everybody's throwing a fit. Point being, how long does it take for the Dems to go after the Dems now that they don't have Trump to hide behind anymore? About 20 minutes or so. So it is about to get really interesting as their foibles become more obvious. Now the trick is, how obvious when you have the press covering for them. It is embarrassing to watch the current president doing his speeches while reading them, every single one. And you're like, didn't I see this on an episode of Star Trek where they were doing things that got Gina Carano fired, acting like those people? And to think that William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, both Jews, were in that script wearing those uniforms with the actual Indian symbol of the swastika. Yeah, that was interesting. But nonetheless, you have the same thing where you have this general being propped up, and they're just making him say whatever that the state wants him to say. And it's like, how is that different than Biden? And he doesn't... I don't need to go into detail. If you've seen him speak, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so there's that. Well, anyways, there answers the question. They are now attacking each other, and it's going to get really good. Even if the press tries to hide it, you can't hide it forever because eventually they got to vote on stuff. And when they go to vote on stuff, bam. It's like, for example, that $1.9 trillion COVID relief, which was supposed to be, according to Biden, before the election, was to guarantee Americans $2,000. And if you send those two senators from Georgia, you'll get that $2,000. And as somebody else put it so very, very wisely, imagine bribing a people with money that they gave you that you're going to give them back far less than they give you. If that doesn't sum up exactly what that $2,000 is, I don't know what does. So you're going to use our tax money that we give you to give us back a teeny little amount of that. And we're supposed to think that's a good thing to... Okay. So $1.9 trillion was supposed to be COVID relief for the people. That's what we were told. Now, election's long over. Impeachment trial's over. And they're lowering it down to $1,400 of our own money to get back. And now they're means testing it to, you have to make $50,000 or less to get that $1,400. Now, the interesting thing about that from a government spending point of view is they are lessening how much they're going to give the people. But they're not lessening the $1.9 trillion. Now, wouldn't it make sense that if you're going to means test the money to give back to the taxpayers for which they paid the money in the first place, wouldn't the 1.9 therefore congruently go down as well? But it seems to be the attitude of government and spending is always, no matter how much money they don't spend, they're never giving it back to the people. If you've ever worked a government job, you've heard the expression, use it or lose it in regard to the budget. I remember asking one time when I was young and new and naive, don't worry, I'm old and not naive, and I still ask the question, why do we have to spend so much money that we don't need? Because our budget actually is taken care of with about, fill in the number. Why do we have to keep spending all that other stuff and literally wasting that money because we don't need to spend it? Why can't we just give it back to the taxpayers? Now, the first time I said that, I was looked at, because apparently my third eye was showing, and thou shalt not show their third eye in public. That's the only thing I could understand for the explanation for why are they staring at me like that? Why? I blew my nose. I have deodorant on. I don't get it. Yeah, so no, they're like, what are you talking about? We don't give the money back to the taxpayers. That's stupid. Stop saying things like that. And instead, they just said, we don't want you to work here anymore, and that took care of that. So, happy endings to everybody. All right, that's it for that. We'll see how it goes with the rest of the term, at least up to 2022, with how y'all going to run in 2022. Are you going to run on this crazy left-wing stuff with, let's see, what was it, 25,000 people south of the border get to come north of the border in the next few days? We don't need to do any stinking testing, and we'll just set them free. But if you land in an airplane, American, you better expect that you're going to be tested. Yes, we are back to the old rules, where the people that come from south of the border, whether they be from Iran, whether they be from Mexico, Nicaragua, Africa, Egypt, it really doesn't matter. If they sneak through the southern border or knock on the gate at the southern border now with Biden, they will be exempt from all the laws once they come through. It's exactly like it was before Trump. If you didn't have a driver's license and you couldn't speak English, the cops would just let you go. You never got tickets. And in Colorado, you would get the tickets, and then you'd have to go to court, and you still can't speak English, so you'd go to a special line, and then they would waive it. It was just, They had such superior rights to Americans, and here we go again. So it'll be interesting to see if they're fighting about that amongst themselves too. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the future.